First, let's take a look at my barbell back squat. See, I clearly have sufficient mobility to be able to perform this exercise to achieve full depth with my hamstrings on my calves. This position is really important to be able to give the quads, particularly the teardrop muscle or the vastus medialis, the lower portion of the quad, a complete stretch. However, take a look at my torso angle relative to the floor and the weight. There's a slight forwards lean. For every degree of forwards lean that there is going to be extra strain and tension going through my back muscles. Now, this isn't bad whatsoever, as it's important to be exposing your back to these kinds of forces if you want to improve its strength. But for now, keep that in the back of your mind for a moment while we take a look at the hack squat machine as a comparison. As you can see here, I hit the exact same range, if not more range of motion at my knee and hip joints. But what's the main difference? If we were to reposition this as if I was squatting flat on the floor, not on the angle of the machine, you'll see my torso is completely upright. This position is physically impossible for me to be able to access with a free weight squat without falling over. So why is this important? Well, what is the goal with training? We want to expose your muscles, in this case the quads, to as much tension as possible. Now, whether that means training to failure or training with a few reps left in the tank or reps in reserve, the reality is we need to have the ability to take our bodies relatively close to that point at some point during the set. And out of these two exercises, if I took them both towards that failure point, the hack squat will create a much more significant stimulus on my quads as opposed to the back squat, which will still create a fair bit of stimulus on my quads, but also a large stimulus on my back due to the positioning of the weight on my body, which again is completely unavoidable. This is actually the biggest counter-argument that people use against the use of machines. They say that machines aren't good because they take you out of your natural range of motion. But the question is, what if your natural range of motion is actually not a good thing? Because no matter how good you are, no matter how mobile you are, you'll never be able to get into a position on a barbell squat that allows you to push your quads as hard as a machine-based squat would, without your lower back fatiguing first. This is the difference between a concept known as task failure versus muscular failure. This concept is pretty simple. When you hit a failure point, did your muscle hit a failure point, or did you fail at the task itself due to technique, coordination, or some other variable such as other muscles fatiguing first? The back squat is a good example of a task failure exercise, where no matter how hard you push and drive yourself into the ground, it's your lower back and technique that will always give out first. Whereas on the hack squat, due to the machine giving you plenty of bracing support and the relative simplicity of the movement and the position it puts your body into, when you hit failure here, you'll be much closer to a true failure point in your quads, which is part of the goal when it comes to training to add size to your quads.